Hello, everyone. Welcome to Around the Table with the AOTR. Tonight, we are diving deep into a massive fight challenge that has hit the socials, absolutely blowing up. Antifa is American. We're talking about a matchup everyone is whispering, texting, and posting about on just about every single platform. But before we get into the details, the videos, and the legal logistics of making this fight happen, we have some truly monumental, life changing news to share right here at the table. My co host, my friend, and an absolute undeniable warrior, Bev, just finished her final chemotherapy treatment and officially rung the bell earlier this afternoon. So proud of Bev. Has been standing strong. She's sitting right here tonight, and that is exactly the kind of fighter energy that we're bringing to this episode. So, Bev, I'm just so incredibly proud of you, and I'm so damn happy that you're joining us as you celebrate tonight. You have fought the good fight, and you're conquering it, and you still chose to show up for the community hours later. So, as always, thank you for being here.
And thank you, Sai. My day has had a high level of energy, and I felt like there was no way I could miss the show. And there's a lot of relief. I mean, everything's not over, but you know what? I'm a huge step forward.
And that's great. It's a long journey, but you're making the stride. So thank you for coming here. And I can imagine when you go through something like this that it really begins to put everything into perspective. It makes you want to lock in even harder on the things that matter. And I know that you've been hard at that. So, our community, our voice, and making things happen. We have a massive agenda tonight, and we're ready for it.
All right, so let's get into this. Let's talk about the challenge. So, Dave the Viking put it all on the line and threw down a massive challenge to Jake Lang. It didn't take long for that to catch fire, and it's been widely shared all over Jolly Good Ginger and Prophet SC socials. Jolly's platforms have been absolutely buzzing with it, and the community response has been massive. People want to see these two step up. They want to see the athletic execution, and they want to see what happens when two prominent names decide to lock it in.
They really do, Bev. The traction this got the second it hit Jolly's pages proves that the community is hungry for real raw competition, and people are tired of the back and forth texting and vague call outs. And I mean, Jake Lang has done some ridiculous things, and he's been trying to be an instigator and agitator for a really long time, trying to get some of our really good, decent, upstanding activists like Dave and others that, to try to rile them up to make them do something so that he could use it against them later and kind of reframe the whole narrative. And they have been, I mean, our guys have been great about it. I got to give them that. But Dave finally had it. Like, he finally was like, you know what, dude? No. So it basically was just like Jolly amplified the challenge and it set a baseline. It made it public and it gave the audience something legitimate to look forward to. But as with anything that gains this momentum, the vultures will start circling the narrative, and that's exactly where things, will start to go off the rails, and that's demonstrated in those reels, of course. But now I want to look closely at what is actually happening in the footage because we need to stick to the facts of how this interaction went down. If you look at the extended versions floating around specifically on Prophet SC social, you can see the very specific shift in how Jake addresses Dave. And in the beginning of the video, it's clear that there's some intimidation there, but then Jake completely pivots. Like, he goes from being visibly intimidated to suddenly trying to convince Dave to come over to his side. It's crazy to see. Then he starts trying to flip the script and he goes on to say some things that I will straight up not repeat on the air tonight. It gets to a level that doesn't need to be spoken at this table, but you can always navigate to the links that will be in our show notes to watch the reels for yourself and see exactly what we're talking about. Bev, I have to ask you, have you watched the videos all the way through, and what were your thoughts on how Jake handled that? Are you still there?
Sorry. I did watch them, Sai, and the pivot was really, really obvious. And it stood out so much. It's like the moment he realized the physical challenge was real and Dave was not backing down, the strategy changed. Trying to play buddy buddy and convince Dave to join his side after everything was laid out on Jolly's page just looked like a tactical retreat. And for the comments you mentioned, the ones we aren't repeating, it just shows a lack of composure, a really big one. When the pressure gets turned up, people reveal how they really handle conflict. And trying to deflect like that doesn't change the fact that a challenge was made.
Exactly. And Dave's character speaks for itself, and we aren't going to let the noise distort the timeline of how this went down. So, when you look at how these specific platforms operate, they thrive on negativity, and they look at legitimate sports challenge, like it was shared by Jolly, and instead of keeping it about the sport, they take the low blow route and emphasize things like Dave's tattoos, for example.
Yeah, it's the classic distraction play, Si. And when you can't beat a man on his merits, or when you're intimidated by the actual physical challenge, you try to ruin his name or image before he even steps foot in that arena. Jake seems scared and trying to distract or provoke Dave, but Dave's just calm, almost stoic. This is because Jake knew that if the focus stays entirely on the athletic matchup, Dave is a big problem for him.
Yeah, stoic is a good word for how Dave's stance was. And here's how we counter that kind of behavior: we don't roll around in the mud with them. We don't make response videos screaming into the void, giving them the attention that they're starving for. We elevate the game. The goal here is a clean, legal, and fully sanctioned fight event. We want to see Dave and Jake step into a proper ring under proper athletic regulations and settle this like men, like professionals.
Yeah, it seems like we need to completely bypass this horrible online circus and handle this professionally. If they want to talk big on social media, if they want to post these extended cuts on social media to try and rattle Dave, that's fine. But let's see what happens when the talk has turned into action under the lights. That's where the real truth comes out, and that's the standard we are setting tonight.
We are officially looking at the 4th of July Challenge Day event, but to get this ball rolling from a vague internet challenge shared on Jolly Good Ginger's pages into a concrete reality, we need infrastructure, we need organization, and we need this community's help to step up and rally. This isn't just about putting on gloves on two guys and letting them go at it in an unsanctioned backyard brawl.
Absolutely not. If Dave is going to do this, he has got to do it right. He'll need commission oversight, proper medical staff on hand, and a venue that can actually hold the massive crowd we know this thing is going to draw. We're talking a real official fight card. July 4th is the perfect target date. It's historic, it's high energy, and it gives both camps the exact amount of time they need to train, prepare, and lock in. And the clock is ticking. And the clock is ticking. And the paperwork needs to start right now.
True. To make this a sanctioned event, we need more than just internet hype. We need legitimate professional backing. We're officially putting out the call tonight to any potential sponsors, promoters, gym owners, or athletic coordinators who can help us secure a venue, handle the legalities, and manage the official logistics.
Spot on. If you want to see this fight happen, and happen the right way, safely and legally, now is the time to act. Let's make sure Dave and Jake have the proper sanction platform to lock it in and settle it. If you have the connections, the resources, or the sponsorship capabilities to help us sanction this for the 4th of July, reach out to us directly after the show. We want to get this moving. You want to get this moving. Let's get this moving.
And think about the impact an event like this could have if it's done correctly. We can turn all this negative, chaotic energy on the timelines into something structured, powerful, and historic for the community. But it takes a village to build that kind of platform. We need the brands, the businesses, and the legal minds to step up and back it. Let's drown out the ad hominem garbage heard from people like Jake Lang with real professional execution.
Exactly, Sai. This is about establishing a blueprint. The community wants to see this matchup, and we shouldn't have to rely on dramatic live streams and character assassination to find out whether this bully is actually the brute he thinks he is. But we need to find a way to build our own arena, hire some referees, and handle all the business legally. So if you're a sponsor listening to this is your chance to back something that has an immediate, dedicated audience ready to show up and show out.
Right. We want the fighting happening inside the ropes, under the lights, not in the gossip channels. And we're moving forward and we're doing it the right way. We aren't going to let people change the narrative. This started as a challenge and it's going to end as an event.
It's just a bully tactic to resort to character assassination when there is real work to be done to make this event happen. When someone resorts to the kinds of personal attacks we saw Jake make, it usually means they're terrified of what happens when the actual bell rings. They want to sell things with showy behavior because they aren't sure they can handle a real athletic competition. Dave is giving Jake the chance to prove it in a regulated environment. Jake Lang can talk all his usual noise, but at the end of the day, the ring won't lie.
Now I need to bring it back right back to the absolute rock of a co-host I have here with me. Bev, as I said at the top of this, Bev just finished the fight of her life today with the final chemo treatment. She showed up to this table tonight because she is entirely dedicated to this community, to this show, and to seeing this project through. But as anyone who has been through this knows, the battle doesn't just instantly stop the moment you ring the bell. The medical bills, the recovery costs, and the everyday strain are very real. And we need you to show up for Bev the exact same way she showed up for us and does every single time that we have a show. We have a link to Bev's GoFundMe pinned in the show notes. And of course, you can find all of this in the description, as I've said. If you have the means to donate, please do. And if you can't donate, hit share and pass it along to someone who might be able to. Let's make sure we surround her with the financial and emotional support that she deserves after hitting this incredible milestone.
Yes, and get behind the July 4th challenge. Antifa is American. Dave the Viking versus Jake Lang. Keep the momentum building, and let's show everyone what this community can do when we pull together. Go to the links in the show notes, get into the movement, and let's get this ball rolling.
Of course, and thank you for sitting around the table with us tonight. To those listening at home, remember radical love is the only way through.
On that note, please, if you can donate to anyone's mutual aid, love your neighbors, and remember, we are the authors of the resistance.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Around the Table with the AOTR.